stay a while and listen.
And welcome back to the AOP podcast, the agony of Parmesan crusted steaks. I am Ross, and with me today,
Saul, I guess.
that'll work. That'll do.
I was going to say bacon sticks, but I wasn't feeling bacon sticks today. So.
Dangerously close to that just being a name that actually sticks somehow, which is disturbing.
The funny thing is, I really don't like bacon that much. So.
Yeah, no, it's because you just don't. You refuse to cook it the correct way that I've told you about multiple times.
The slimy.
I'm telling you, fold it in half, crispy and movable. It's better. How's your week been?
My week has been okay.
That was a very strange inflection on the okay.
I mean, nothing exciting, nothing bad though.
Just run-of-the-mill stuff.
Run-of-the-mill type stuff. No issues.
That's been about mine. Let's see. Yeah, there's no true excitement, no true despair. Well, there's some turkey despair, but we'll talk about that here shortly.
Yeah.
So we actually have a few things to talk about this week. We're also going to try to do it quickly. So we're probably going to be bouncing around and skipping some stuff. But we're going to talk for sure about The Mandalorian, episode 2 and 3, I believe. Maybe some Hearthstone. Maybe a little bit of wrestling, depending on what you've watched. Or I'll tell you the good stuff, and we can kind of go from there. And then food stuff, turkey, things like that.
Turkey.
So what do you want to start with? I mean, food is topical because Thanksgiving is coming up, or we could try to knock out. Oh, sorry.
We can talk about a little turkey.
Turkey. All right. So you had sent me something to use as a bumper, but the amount of DMCA stuff going around everywhere, I'm afraid to use it because it's an actual song. But it was the Archies, the yummy yummy, I got love in my tummy. So you guys can pretend.
You also got Homer singing it too,
yes.
So Disney might ding you.
Was that,
who knows?
Right, was that the episode where he was watching, or the moon landing was happening, but he wasn't paying attention to it?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm going to give you a solid maybe on that.
I'm going to say that I bet that it was, which is sad that I remember that detail of the Simpsons stuff, but I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you got Thanksgiving coming up, but now I have a turkey story where we were going to make a turkey and then we didn't, but it might have some information that's useful to people. Do you have anything to go with that?
What do you mean with cooking turkey?
Or just food, turkey, any of that stuff?
I don't know. I mean, just start talking about your turkey, and then I'll jump in when I have something to talk about.
All right. So if you search turkey, by the way, and only put in the word turkey, it gives you about the country.
Sure.
I was going to look for a picture of a turkey to put on the screen here, but I'm not going to bother. So my wife got a turkey, a 13-pound turkey, which is, I've never seen that big of a turkey that I'm aware of, that was frozen. Well, we had thought, because she was off this weekend as well, so we were going to cook the turkey. We had not defawed or defrosted, thawed out, whatever you want to call it, the turkey. So I was looking Friday morning before work, like, oh, how long does it take to thaw out a turkey? Well, if you put it in the refrigerator to thaw it out, it's basically 1 day for 4 pounds. So cooking the turkey, a 13-pound turkey, it would not have been done till tomorrow morning, Monday. Obviously, that's not the route we're going to go. So then I looked into how can you fast thaw a turkey. Well, you definitely don't want to just leave it sitting on the counter. Apparently, according to, like, I would assume FDA or whatever, CDC, you can put it in cold water, but have to change the water every half hour. And then it's basically a half hour per pound. So that would be a little over 6 hours of having a timer to change the thing for the turkey. Well, we have one of those shallow sinks, so the turkey wouldn't fit into that. So I would have been using a Lowe's bucket to fill with water.
Those directions do seem like something that the CDC would give you, yes.
Well, I guess the reason that you want to change the water is that the bacteria, like there's a potential for bacteria to be within the water. So you're significantly, if you just leave it sit in the same water, you are significantly increasing your chances of like foodborne stuff. So also just to get the water fresh, because you don't want to thaw it too quickly, and the water will cause you problems. So in case anyone forgets coming up to Thanksgiving, you don't want to forget because it's a pain. Now the other option is you can actually cook your turkey from frozen. And this takes about the same amount of time. You're looking at about a 6 hour, like, again, this is 13-pound turkey. You're looking at about a 6 hour cook. Also, you can't do stuff initially like seasoning or getting the giblets out. So there's downside to that. That's what we were going to go with, but then we thought our plans that we have for Thanksgiving might fall through, so we're going to hold the turkey off as an emergency bit of food. But turkey is a pain in the butt, is what I'm learning. I bought like a special, now it's a disposable turkey pan that was like $3 because I don't own a pan of any kind that will fit a 13-pound bird. I have a lot more appreciation for my grandparents that actually did Thanksgiving some.
I have a relative that I'm not going to mention what relative it is, but they are so cheap that throwaway pan, they try to save that every year. I'm just like, it's meant to throw in the garbage. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, because you don't want to deal with it taking up the space. Cause it's a fairly big pan. I wouldn't have anywhere to put this thing.
Well, I mean, how much is it? Like $2 or something?
$3.49. I got the ones that have the handles, like built in.
And I'm like, I'll give you $3 just to throw in the garbage.
Please,
my God.
I will give you $3 so I don't have to watch you try to clean this thing.
It's just yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you know anyone who's done the deep fried turkey?
Yeah, my dad does it every year.
Yeah. Do you like that? I've never had it, so.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's different.
All right.
You can definitely tell it. You can definitely tell. I mean, it's different than cooking in an oven all day. You know?
Right. See, I want to take a garbage bag and fill it with shake and bake, and just shake and bake a turkey. I assume that that's an option.
Sure, I'm sure.
But I would use the pork chop shake and bake, not the chicken. I feel that it is superior in all ways.
I don't know how that would taste.
I have to assume it would be good. I mean, anything I've ever put shake and bake on, like be it pork chops, chicken, apple pie, like it's always good.
So, if you are making a Thanksgiving meal, it sounds like you may be doing that. What is going to be the items that's going to be your Thanksgiving meal?
Like the item?
The items, like what?
What would I do? We will probably do. So the grandparents I mentioned a minute ago, they were the ones that were like the normal part of the family that tried to do like a proper meal. There's also the other grandparents that a lot of times we just ordered from the grocery store and just whatever they had. But before those days, so I'm going to have some influence from them. But we're going to have the turkey. I'll probably, if we end up doing something, I'll probably try to make a stuffing myself, as opposed to like just buying a stuffing that's generic.
Not going stovetop, huh?
That might very well be. Once I start looking into recipes, I've never made stuffing. Once I start looking into recipes, it's going to be one of those, am I really wanting to do this much effort? Or do I just want to be done with this thing? Because really the turkey and then the stuffing are going to be the biggest things that would take time. So I'll probably, we'll find out as we get closer to time.
Okay.
I would assume there'll be mashed potatoes. Like those I'll actually make out of real potatoes.
Sure.
Most of the time we do like instant mashed potatoes, but I can make decent mashed potatoes. It's not hard. Pretty much anyone can make decent mashed potatoes if they try. But I actually do it occasionally.
Now it's funny that since growing up, kind of poor and everything, we had a lot of instant mashed potatoes and everything.
Like the flakes.
And I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, they're.
But my wife hates it. She's like, "This is disgusting."
Now, did you guys have like the big box of Ore-Ida or whatever it was?
Yes.
That you poured like cereal?
Yep.
Now, how did your family? Because ours, like what we had, it was always runnier than it should be.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was to stretch it between, because it was mom and dad and then me and my brother. Like, I don't know if it was to stretch it or if they just liked it that way.
I don't know, but but for whatever reason, I've grown to, my mind's like, okay, this is how you make mashed potatoes, and it's not how you're supposed to make mashed potatoes.
Now, I will eat currently. They have like the little cups of instant mashed potatoes or the bag of instant mashed potatoes, and we make those a lot. And I will say they're way better than what we were eating out of the cereal box, basically.
Sure.
And also, I will usually, there's a fill line on a lot of the stuff where it'll recommend like 2 cups of water. I always go about a quarter less than it should be, just so it's thicker.
Gotcha.
Because the soupy mashed potatoes, I'm not gonna do it. It's just not worth it. It's so awful.
Soupy mashed potatoes, then you put the gravy on it, so you're just basically just drinking your potatoes. Yes.
I'm like, here, Saul, honey, I got you your teacup full of mashed potatoes, soup, and gravy.
All right, so you got your turkey, your stuffing, mashed potatoes. Okay.
Probably corn. The thing is, it won't be. It's weird because I only really like corn on the cob. But in my mind, corn should be like, like canned corn or whatever for Thanksgiving. I don't know why that I feel that way. And then probably macaroni and cheese. That's something my wife, like their family always does. So we'd probably do that. But it'd be like Kraft, like not high, like there's no place for high quality macaroni and cheese.
People.
Yeah.
White people
basically.
White people mac and cheese,
Yeah, I'm not trying to get like 6 cheese mac and cheese.
Sure.
And then the key piece, now like pecan pie, whatever you want to call it, or pumpkin pie probably. A small one because I'm the only one at my home that eats that. The key piece though, that is basically the centerpiece to the table, or in our case would be the stovetop and the counter, is a can of cranberry sauce that you put on a plate that stays in the can shape that nobody touches, and then you throw it away. For well over a decade of my life, I saw that happen. I assume that brings good luck. Much like, your sauerkraut and pork is good luck on New Year's.
Sure.
Just sacrificing a can of cranberry sauce is good luck for Thanksgiving.
Gotcha.
So what are you guys doing? Or like, if you're making your own, what are you doing for sides?
So, my dad I usually eat with my family. I'll just say, this is how my family does it. And my wife shakes her head all the time.
So I'm going to probably be like, oh, this makes complete sense to me.
Well, I don't know. You probably say, wow, what in the world? Okay, so.
Ooh, wait.
There's
ham.
I
need to add ham.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys do a ham too?
I like one ham steak I don't know. I like ham and turkey. So. Gotcha.
All right, so there's 6 of us, okay?
Yeah.
My dad will deep fry. He used to do like a 20-pound bird, and my mom's like, you need to cut it down because he cooks he deep fries 2 turkeys, okay?
Oh my goodness.
He was deep frying 2 20-pound birds, okay?
Is he just running around with like tongs, clicking them like a madman? Like, behold these birds.
So he grew up very poor too. So he in his mind was like, I don't want people to go without. He's like, someone stops by here, I want them to be able to take food with them home and stuff like that. I get that and I understand that, and I kind of respect that.
Right.
But,
Well, and he doesn't like be able to give it, but no one's going without for his family as well.
and that's how he looks at it. So
Yeah.
I understand his mind. Okay, so now it's like 2 15-pound turkeys that he cooks. He'll cook a whole ham.
Yeah.
He'll cook mashed potatoes.
Wait, I gotta go back.
beans.
I need some detail for the ham.
Okay.
Now, is it like a brown sugar glazed ham in the oven?
Yes.
Is he deep frying it, or?
It's a brown sugar baked ham in the oven. Yes, a big that you normally people would eat for like Christmas.
Now, is it
For, like,
spiral
dinner
cut,
themselves.
or does he just cut off hunks?
Spiral cut? Yeah.
All right.
So
I'm liking
he'll
your
cook that.
Thanksgiving already.
Sure. So he'll cook that. He has green beans.
Okay.
He has corn. He has mashed potatoes. My wife has made him, or I think we make the mashed potatoes because she's like, I can't eat these mashed potatoes. I hate instant mashed potatoes. So
They're
we
so
make the
good.
mashed potatoes. What else do we have?
Now let's go back
my
for a
wife
second
made-
here. The mashed potatoes. Now, do you guys do it with the skin still on, like boil a potato, or?
No, I peel them
Okay.
because she likes the mashed potatoes, but she likes them with the skin on. That's disgusting. So I told her if we're going to eat it, that's fine. We're going to peel them. So we peel the mashed potatoes.
I'm going to tell you something funny. When I make proper mashed potatoes,
Yes.
I will the equivalent of, because I like a little bit of the potato skin, but not a ton.
Oh,
So I end up peeling like half of the potatoes, so that it's like light skin.
that's disgusting.
Anyway, so
So-
I was just curious
Anyway.
because people are very particular about their mashed potatoes.
Oh yeah. So he'll we're at mashed potatoes, corn, green beans. My wife makes a cranberry sauce.
Now, does she
Yeah.
just have it in sauce form, or does she try to make it into a canned form?
No, she has it in sauce form.
So you guys are just going to miss out on the good luck of the Thanksgiving
yeah, I suppose, yes.
can. Okay.
Yes. And then he has like 2 different types of gravy. I never really understood that. He
Like a
has,
chicken
brown
and a
gravy.
beef, or turkey?
Yeah, chicken and beef. I've never really understood why he does that. That's just what he does. What else? We have salad.
Salad.
We have croissants. Croissants, and then we have rolls. What else?
You know, I know a lot of
Maybe,
families that do the croissants and the rolls, and it always is. I don't know. It's like pick a side.
So, and then my family, my wife doesn't understand this. And I think I kind of look at it the way she looks at it. It is kind of weird, but because I grew up with it, it's just natural to me. We have like a cup full of green onions that we eat like carrots. It's just
What?
I don't know. Yeah, like so you know what green onion is, right?
Unfortunately, yes. My wife loves
So
them.
so he'll like buy like 2 things of, like a bushel. I don't know what you call it, a
Yeah.
handful of green, and he'll cut them and prepare them and everything. And he'll put them in a cup and we'll set it at the table. And the green
Just
onion
snack on 'em?
carrot. Well, yeah, but he's just part of the meal. And my wife just looks at us like, that is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. She goes, you guys eat green onions like people eat carrots. I was like, yeah, I know. I don't know.
I mean, do you guys also just take like normal onions and eat them like apples?
No, see, it's funny. I don't like onions. I love green onions, though. Like
Huh.
other onions, I could do without. But yeah, green onions, I love them.
Anything. So there is like one of the Chinese restaurants that we get chicken fried rice from. They'll
Yeah.
put green onions in the chicken fried rice. They have a hot and sour soup that they always put some of the green onions on the top of it, and I always forget to ask for them to not do that.
Yeah.
I cannot stand green onions at all, and I don't like other onions. I'm like real picky on. Like sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. Green onions, they're like food herpes to me.
For whatever reason, they wronged you in life, and you're just like,
I don't know. I almost wonder because we used to grow them in the front yard when I was little.
Yeah.
And it was always where we would end up like wrestling around or getting tackled playing football or something. So I'd always smell like green onions. So it might be that. That was a repressed memory that just came to me that might explain why I have disdain for green onions. It's the only thing that makes sense. But
yeah.
But the rest of the Thanksgiving sounds pretty good. Now, do you guys use real butter to go with like the croissants and stuff and the rolls, or like a margarine?
Real butter. Yeah.
Okay. We've switched.
I don't like margarine. No.
I've switched to real butter for just about everything.
Yeah.
One of the last times I was doing like keto pretty heavily, more fats and butter and all that stuff. And I was like, why do I not use butter for 90% of what I do? So and my wife was like, I don't know, I prefer it too. So it's either butter, or if I need an oil, I typically use peanut oil.
Okay.
So
we go olive oil just because it's healthier.
Yeah, I like peanut oil for that slight flavor you can get.
Sure.
I think olive oil has a better smoke point though, but I try not to get too carried away with it. Well, all right. Well, now that we've gotten Thanksgiving out of the way, and I'm super hungry, I can't wait till we're done so I can go eat. So we knocked that out. Now we got a couple other things. We got video games. We got Mandalorian. We got some wrestling stuff we could talk about a little bit, or see what intrigued you this week. What do you want to go to?
Let's go to Mandalorian because that'd be the biggest.
Yeah.
Just because I want to talk about the Mandalorian. So
right.
if we don't do the other stuff,
yeah,
that's fine.
You want to make sure to get this. That's fine. We're a little bit on a time thing, so give me a second here. We're gonna get our TV film.
Something that could never ever possibly destroy us. Mr. Stay Puft.
You chose poorly. You have chosen wisely.
All right. I'm done strangling myself by trying to inhale water. So I finally watched, just the other night, we watched episode 2 and 3. So I'm all caught up. So if you're listening to
Does
this...
your wife watch it with you?
Yep. Yeah, I actually... because we were going to try to do this yesterday, and then you're like, oh, we could do it tomorrow. This is one of the things. I hadn't watched any of The Mandalorian yet.
Gotcha.
I was like, I'd like to at least be able to talk about it some, instead of being like, well, don't spoil it for me. But speaking of that, so we're going to go over episode 2, episode 3. There will definitely be spoilers. So obviously we'll start with 2, and then we'll pause briefly before we get to 3 in case you're behind like I was. So episode 2, all the reviews, and you kind of told me about it some last week, where it was just like kind of like a filler episode, it felt like.
It felt like, yeah.
But basically, he is just trying to find more Mandalorians to find out where he can take the child to.
Yeah.
And then crazy hijinks ensue.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it seemed like some people hated the episode, and some people were indifferent. I don't think I saw anyone or any comments, not that I was looking for them too much,
Well,
where they were like, yeah, we love this. Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess we got to... So, my wife told me that there was like some major controversial stuff that people had a problem with from this episode.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know what it would be. And then I was like, wait a minute. I bet they have a problem with this. But it was not for the reasons that I thought. So I'm being vague until we get into the episode, and then we can talk. I'm assuming there was probably a group of people whose brains exploded, and they just started like tweeting in a rage. So basically, he gets a lead to find other Mandalorians, but he's going to have to take... there's a species that's about to die out, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I took it as... So, the deal is it's like an amphibious type creature. So she has eggs. So she's got this like big crazy device to house the eggs in. And they're not going to be able to use light speed to travel. This is all arranged basically by the mechanic lady, I guess would be the way to put it, after she beats a gigantic ant creature in a game of poker that I think she just stole money from the Mandalorian. I'm pretty sure. But either way. And one of the things, like, they can't use light speed because it's going to kill, it would, somehow a hyper jump does something to the eggs. I don't know how that makes sense since they're inside the ship, but that was the reason that they had to travel normal, so it was going to take 1,000 hours, I guess. Baby Yoda apparently really likes to eat eggs.
Yes.
Now, going into this, when she's introducing the Mandalorian to the lady, it's basically said that she's got to get her eggs to this planet where her husband is, because it's habitable for them. And she's like, the eggs are the last of their line, so if they want to continue, they have to get this done. I took that as family line, not entire species line.
Yeah, that's how I took it.
That's how I understood it. Now, obviously, since we're talking about that, it turns out later that that's not the case.
Okay.
Because it seems like it's made to be they're the last two of their species.
Gotcha. Okay.
I never occurred to me. So, anyway, Mandalorian's not real happy about this arrangement, but it's about the only thing he can do to get him there. So, there's a few I thought they were humorous segments. Apparently, I'm very insensitive. Of Baby Yoda getting and eating the eggs.
Yeah.
Which we've seen him eat all kinds of creatures already.
Yes.
So
why is the other creatures a lesser value to these people?
I didn't do a lot of research into it. Because I'm going to be real honest here, and maybe I am horribly insensitive. I didn't think this was as big of a deal as it was made out to be. Now, it could be because I had, at this point in time, it was just like a family line, not an entire species. So, basically, he's trying to eat the eggs of creatures that are about to no longer exist if he succeeds in eating all the eggs. Which some people refer to as a genocide. If you want to throw a strong word onto it. So,
if you really, really, really want to think about it, it's CGI. They're not real. So.
Right. Well, and the thing is, this was my thought, is that the child I don't think, understands those consequences to it.
Yeah. Well, it's a child, yes.
Right. Even though he's like our age, but he's still a child for that species, I guess. He was just trying to eat something that he wanted. The same as my dog has no idea. If I drop meat on the ground, he's going to try to eat it. And it was, just like he didn't know what he was doing. I think by the end, they kind of show that maybe he either realized what was going on or he didn't. But we'll never know on that one, I guess. But yeah, not everybody, but people were very up in arms about this. So I didn't get
loony
it.
People. We'll just say loony people.
I'm not even gonna pretend like I don't know. It wasn't portrayed that way, so I'm not. Normally, I will try to find both sides to a situation. I'm not even gonna waste my time on this one.
Yes,
I feel like it's making a big to-do out of nothing in this particular case. So,
I mean, did these people cry when when Darth Vader destroyed Leia's planet? I mean, it's fictional. It's not real. I mean,
right.
Let's.
Yes, all the Alderaanians, or I don't know how you would actually say that, but yeah. Like I don't know. It was so to me it was just like a running gag of like sitcom style running gag of he's going to keep trying to get these eggs, and the Mandalorian's going to keep stopping him. Like that's 100% how I took it. Either way, so he comes across some X-wings.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool.
Well, it's funny because so they're trying to get information from him. Basically, the Razor Core, the ship that he has, isn't supposed to need a beacon to signal because it was pre-Empire, I guess. That's the whole reason he has it. Yeah. They explain that things are different now. They're going to have to, like ping the ship or whatever. And he's like, oh, it's not working. And then he sees the X-Wings open up. And without a facial expression, just the way he turns his head is pretty funny.
Yeah.
So this leads to a space chase. That, much like every other time he's tried to run from anybody, it goes wrong.
Yes.
So he kind of escapes the X-Wings, but it's an ice planet, so the end result is he falls through the ice in the ship.
So what I gather from this series so far is the Mandalorian's kind of a badass. If you fight him up close and personal, flying anything, he's not that great at it. I don't know.
Well, I think it seems like he's good for what he has, but his ship is so old that he's just not going to compete, is kind of how I take it.
Sure. Yeah.
We skipped something in the beginning before he gets back to the town. A bunch of other bounty hunters kind of like ambush him with like a tripwire thing.
Oh. Yeah.
He basically kills everyone. Was it a Jawa with like a different mask?
It seemed like it was a Jawa, yeah.
Like, I took it as a Jawa. It might be a similar species or whatever. But it gets like the child and has a knife, and he's like, you know what? I'll trade you anything. Just let the kid go. And the Jawa decides that it wants his jetpack out of all the things it could have asked for. Now, as he starts running away, like, child safe, like, well, he's just going to shoot him, or he's going to use, like, the grappling line or something.
Yes.
If you would like, I will let you explain what happened, because I did not see this coming, and it was hilarious to me.
Oh, yeah, he's just, like you said, he's running away, and I thought he was going to shoot him. And, no, he just reaches for his little, his glove thing there, and turns on the jetpack, and it shoots up in the sky. And just drops the guy.
I was like, I looked over to my wife and I was like, I probably should have saw that coming, but I really just thought he'd shoot him.
Sure. And I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, that's one way to do it, I guess.
Well, and the thing is, the Mandalorian could have shot him. 100%. That would have been so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
He chose to amuse himself by throwing this creature into the sky and dropping
Well, I think maybe because he threatened to kill the child, and maybe that's why he was like, you know what? I'm gonna make your death a little bit more agonizing, I guess. I don't know.
There was no one to see it, though. Like, it's not sending a message to anyone.
Maybe he was musing himself. He's just like, you know what? Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was funny, because it was like, well, that was cool, but that was completely unnecessary. You're wasting fuel on the jetpack.
Yeah.
And then the other question is,
because
he comes back carrying all that stuff. Why didn't he use the jetpack to get back to town?
There's a couple times I was like, he has a jetpack. Why is he using it? In this episode and the next episode.
But anyway, I forgot all about that part until there. But yeah, so they're in this ice cave, and his ship is just totally trashed. The creature, hold on, I'm going to try to find the name here, because they call it the Passenger. It's driving me crazy not to know what that species is called or the thing's name, other than the Passenger.
Frog people? It's called frog people.
Frog people. We'll just use the Passenger, I guess. I don't feel like reading through this article to find it. Is just being real difficult, understandably so, because if she's kept count of her eggs in any way, shape, or form, she has to realize that they're diminishing.
Yes.
Because Baby Yoda's gotten a handful of them. Like, I don't know, it was just funny. So eventually he's trying to so I thought this was going to come into play, but it didn't. Like, he doesn't speak the Passenger's language.
Yeah.
and she realizes that apparently she's very handy. She rewires the one droid that he has hanging out in the ship for translation.
Yep.
And wakes him up and about has him have a heart attack, I assume. Hard to tell without, seeing a face. Is trying to explain, what's going on. And this is where we basically find out, I think, that she's the last, or her and the husband are the last of the species, or the race, whatever it would be, not just the end of the family, as I took it. So they might have been more specific, and I just missed something because I was walking around, or who knows. Anyway, so he goes trying to fix the ship, which he seems to do an awful lot.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden he realizes, the child comes out and is kind of trying to get his attention. Turns out that the passenger has just wandered off. Mm-hmm. Conveniently, he has heat vision, so he can follow her. There is I guess it was a warm spring. What's that?
I said they've. I mean, he's had it before in the first season.
Yeah, I forgot about it though. So, I mean, it makes sense. That armor has a lot of stuff in it. But yeah, so they find a hot springs, I guess. So for some reason, the passenger has decided that it's a really good idea to go be in the hot water and take her eggs out of its container for a while.
This whole scene, I was like, what are you doing?
This whole scene was to cause me nightmares, or to get to the part that is nightmare causing. So, again, it's basically like a big soup now with the passenger and a bunch of eggs in it. So, Child's trying to get a hold of the eggs. Mando keeps stopping him. But he's like, this is not a safe place to be. You need to get back into the ship. I can't work on the ship and protect you. This is dumb. Yeah. So they start, scooping the eggs back in. Yoda looks around, or Baby Yoda looks around and sees, I think he said eggs, right?
Yeah.
So he goes, and some kind of creature, he opens up one of these eggs and eats it. Yeah. So I'm guessing to him that he's like, this is going to be a feast. Yeah. Until all the eggs start to hatch.
Yes.
For me, I recoiled from the TV, pulled my feet up, and was disgusted because we have giant, they're pretty much giant, and eventually even more gigantic, ice alien spiders.
Now, do you think this episode would have been more well received if instead of spiders, it would have been that big thing that attacked Luke?
The Wampa?
It was a whole bunch of them. What were they called?
Were they Wampa? I can't remember if that was the Wampa or not.
Wampas, whatever it is.
I'm real bad because they had the Tauntauns is what they were riding. I thought it was a Wampa, but
either case,
we'll hear about it if we're super wrong and there's someone who's super into it.
The Bigfoot thing. The Bigfoot thing. If it was a cave full of Bigfoot things, do you think this episode would have been more well received?
I think that would have made it worse. Because those are furry critters. Most people don't like spiders.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so I'm okay with spiders, but when you get to giant alien spiders that try to wrap around your face, kind of like in the Aliens movie, that's when all of a sudden I'm not cool with spiders anymore.
Sure.
Also, them being able to shoot webbing like Spider-Man doesn't help me.
Sure.
So this whole scene, did this disturb you, or this made me take a little bit longer to fall asleep, truthfully?
No, I mean, it didn't disturb me. I'm just like, this. I just didn't enjoy this episode like the other ones.
Right. So either way, they eventually they get back to the ship. Apparently he had gotten enough done to try to take off. There's a whole big thing with him fighting them off. They're starting to get away, except the super ultra giant spider that he thought he took out just lands on top of the ship.
See, I thought it was a different one. I thought it was an even bigger one.
Maybe. Well, I just thought it was the one because he throws those charges that he has.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if it killed it when it was chasing him through the caves, or if it just stunned it. Yeah. So I thought it was the same one. but you
I
were
wanna
just
know
seeing the
what-
full size.
I want to know what kind of weapons that the rebels are using, because the rebels are just destroy them. Was he shooting it with the actual X-wing?
Yeah, they just had rifles, like the equivalent
Yeah.
to rifles, but they were
Yeah.
shooting red laser bolts. So yeah,
Yeah.
so all looks bleak, and then all of a sudden you just see like the sky light up with red lighting, and these things are getting picked off everywhere. Now I thought that maybe she had finished rewiring the robot,
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
and then I was like, well, if not that, I really wasn't sure what else it would be.
Yeah.
So he goes out, and it's the two guys from the X-Wings that he ditched earlier, and he's basically just been saved by them, 100%. And there's a little back and forth, and they're like, we actually ran all the information. We know you're not the best person, but you've also done some good stuff. So, essentially, they're like, we're going to call it even. And then he tries to get them to help him patch up the ship, and they basically tell him to go kick rocks and leave him. They're like, but next time, we're not going to be so nice, kind of thing. I almost feel like this was the entire point of the episode to show that he's made... he's a bounty hunter, and he's done some bad things, but he's also made some good decisions. So he's been rewarded for the good decisions he's made.
Yes.
I really think that was like the entire takeaway from the episode. So
I can see that. Yeah.
would you? And then like so they leave the planet, but yeah, it was a big nothing burger. I've heard people say, as far as the episode goes, like not if he would have like just got started to get chased, crashed, they come in, like you could have eliminated the middle of that episode and had the same result.
So if I can compare it to a Star Trek Next Generation episode,
Yeah.
this episode to me is the episode where Picard learns how to play the flute. It's completely throwaway. I don't care about it, and I'll probably never watch it again. So yes,
But you'll remember it.
I'll remember it.
20
I'll
years
remember
from
that
now,
thing.
we'll be like, that's like the Ice Spider passenger episode.
Yeah, so if I'm rewatching this, there's like 10 seasons of this, and I get to chapter 10, I'm gonna be like, nah.
Yeah. No, this is one of those episodes you'd be like, oh, I remember this one, and you'd skip it.
Yep.
Like, other than the very beginning where he launches the dude with the jetpack, there's not much that's really worth seeing again. Like, if you're doing a montage of the season, you'd probably have that from this episode and maybe the spider, and then that'd be the end of it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So that's pretty much... We've probably left out little things here and there, but that's the gist of it. Yeah, it was just like a so-so episode. I'm not going to get into the big... where people got worked up over stuff, because it didn't occur to me at all while watching it. So...
IMDb gave it a... or IMDb, sorry.
Yeah.
Gave it a 7.9.
Out of 10?
Yep.
Uh,
I agree with. Maybe a
I
little
feel like
bit.
that's high. Like, if 5 is just average,
Yeah.
like, the only thing that would move it above 5 for me is using the jetpack, because that was just extra malicious for no real purpose. Yeah, like, I don't know. I think that's kind of high. I mean, I didn't hate the episode, but I think we talked about it last week. Like, some of the episodes are so good, you're just never gonna. You can't just keep going up. Like, you almost have to pull it back to appreciate like a good one. So,
I agree. Yeah.
all right. So episode 3 for this season, he finally gets her to the planet. After he basically just crashes into the ocean.
His ship is badly.
Yeah.
It looks bad.
So, obviously, episode 3 now. So, if you're not up to 3 and you don't want to hear anything, I don't know, give us at least like 10 or 15 minutes and kind of skip ahead like that. And that way you know. Let's see here. So it's like all the... Basically, like, it looks like the people from Pirates of the Caribbean. Like on the Davy Jones's ship, where they're like the squid people.
My wife said the same thing. Yeah.
You have the Admiral Admiral. Oh my God, I can't say the word. Akbar. It's Trap. That guy.
Yes.
A couple of his species. So he reunites the family or whatever. They eventually turn into babysitters, which is a pretty common theme throughout this.
Yes.
We get a glimpse of Sasha Banks lurking in shadows. I assume she's going by her real name, which is not Sasha Banks, but I don't know what it is.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I didn't catch that in the credits, but I think she was just the cameo, right?
What do you mean, just a cameo?
What was
Like,
she? I couldn't tell. I'm so used to her having the different hair. I kept thinking she was one of the others.
She was part of the Death Squad or whatever they're called.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought so, but I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong.
No, she was.
Yeah, but either way, so he gets like a lead on the other Mandalorians through these people. This is weird because they're like, oh, it's only like a couple hours by ship or something like that. It's super weird to me that in a world of all this space travel, they're still using just regular boats.
I thought that was weird as also. I was like, the ship thing does not really go with, I don't know. I thought it was kind of out of place.
Now, if they would have had like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, it's easier to move around on the water depending on how you're fishing for stuff.
Yeah.
But it just stuck out to me. I was like, why doesn't it do like air and sea? Like, that seems like something that could be done.
Yes, I agree.
So, yeah, okay. I was just curious. Like, that really stuck out to me because I was going on a rant about it to my wife, and I could tell she wanted me to just please stop. Just, no one cares. So, how shocked were you when it turned out that they were bad people and they turned on Mando?
I was not sure. I was like, these guys are shady as all hell. I was like, why would Mando even listen to these people? But I guess he let his guard down.
Well, I think it's that he has no choice.
True.
Like, if you want, like, even though he's like suspicious, like he was clearly suspicious, but I don't think he saw that one coming. I would say these people are the worst bad guys ever, though, because they. So they're like, oh, there's this giant creature. Get a look at this, and they go to feed it, and then the one guy takes like a spear, and the child's in like the little hover pod, and he hits that into it. Like, his intent is to, for whatever reason, he wants to kill the child.
Yes.
To make the Mandalorian upset.
Yes.
Which is the most spiteful thing possible.
Yes.
And then, so Mando dives in to try to save the child, but he does not have the ability to breathe underwater, nor was he prepared in any way for this to happen, which is kind of a failure on his part.
Yes.
So they're like trying to stab him with spears, which is pointless against his armor.
Yes.
This whole, like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, someone needs to show up or something because I don't see how this is going to go any better.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, three people in Mandalorian armor show up. Now, you were saying this was from Star Wars Rebels?
So Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars Clone Wars,
like the animated,
have actually introduced these characters. So I kind of have like, oh yes. So I knew who these guys were.
So were they? Now I'm not familiar with Clone Wars or Rebels hardly at all. Was the portrayal of them in the Mandalorian accurate to how they were in the other shows, or pretty close?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So Katie Sackhoff, I think that's her name.
Was she the red-haired one?
Yeah, the leader.
Yeah.
She actually played the voice of the character in Rebels and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
she's now literally the character. That's pretty cool.
She's literally the character. So, which was even cooler. So she played the character exactly how she played it in the...
Right, because it's her character at that point.
Yep.
So now, overall, like, so they're Mandalorians, like, they're legitimate Mandalorians, but they take their helmets off because they're not insane, basically.
So watching the TV show, The Mandalorian, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big Star Wars geek, so I don't know. I've not read the books and everything. So the whole Mandalorian culture and everything, I was introduced to it through Star Wars, Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels. They touched base on a lot about the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
So, and all of them took their helmets off and everything. So when the TV series happened and he doesn't take his helmet off, I was always kind of like, what's up with this? And they explained why.
Yeah, so there's like the two factions basically.
There's there's a whole bunch of factions.
Okay, so he's part of the one though, because they kind of address it. Like they look at them as more fanatical, I guess.
Yeah, just like religious nut jobs.
Yeah, well, which I mean, it is pretty crazy, but like, what's the point of not taking your helmet off?
Yeah,
that's the way.
Yep.
Okay. Like, I mean, it is like super weird. So there's a little bit of difference, but he just leaves them. He doesn't, like he accepts it, I guess, but he thanks them for their help, and then he leaves, or ends up speaking with them, I guess. Obviously, he's recruited into a heist, essentially, which seems to be his life story at this point. I mean, he is a bounty hunter, but he's just trying to get like information now on a Jedi. With going back to the previous one, episode 2, when he told like the X-wing guys like, "Oh, may the Force be with you." Like, he doesn't really understand any of that. He just knows to say it.
Yeah, he's just saying it because he knows that's what they say. And the funny thing is, it seems like the Rebels, they don't really know a lot about it either, because they never mention Luke at all. The few times that we have seen about the Rebels, so it's just weird.
Did you ever see the thing that was from the point of the view of like a contractor or something that worked on the Death Star?
Yes.
Where he's like, well, apparently there's space wizards that can like, it was a really funny interpretation. If I could find a link for it, I might put it in the show notes if people have never seen it, but I haven't been able to come across it in a long time. That might be something that in like a Star Wars Reddit gets posted all the time and everyone knows about it, and whatever. But yeah, so are the other two characters, like the other two people that are the other two Mandalorians?
Sasha Banks and the other guy. I think they were just add-ons.
Okay, like they're not like, are they specific characters from like Rebels or Clone Wars, or are they just they're filling out two spaces?
She has a group. I think they're called the Death Squad or the Death Pact or something.
Yeah, like they're the better group.
Well, that's her group that she leads and everything. So I think they needed 2 other people to be a part of it. So I think they're like, "Hey, Sasha, you want to do this? Hey, dude, you want to be a part?" Type thing.
Right. And you're gonna be like,
I could be wrong.
Get to wear Mandalorian armor? Yeah, sign me up. Yeah, I mean, it made me try to play. Oh, go ahead.
No, they could be actual characters. I don't know. I don't think they were though. I just knew of her.
Okay.
She's the most important.
But yeah, I mean, either way, like, it was good to have like a squad of them though to see what a group could do, working together. Now, I mean, we kind of saw that previously, but seeing a different set where they don't have quite the pristine armor. But yeah, so they're trying. If I understood this correctly, they were trying to get onto an Imperial ship, who was still part of the Empire, and they made it sound like they needed Mando's help to steal the weapons.
Yeah.
And then, so basically they lay siege to the ship. Stormtroopers, what can you say? Like, it's no wonder the Empire didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
Stormtroopers are awful. So they go through this whole thing, like, the captain or the admiral, I don't know what it would be. Like, I know who that guy is, but I don't know his name. Who played the?
Yeah, I couldn't think of where I've seen him before.
It was like the Ben Stein style, like just emotionless guy, but he was perfect for that role. He's talking to one of the other guys in the who's in the cargo hold, and he's like, "You got to hold him off." And then they eventually like trap him like in between 2 doors. And he's like, "Where exactly did you trap him?" It's like, "Oh, in basically the control room." So they just open up the airlock to the back, and everybody gets sucked out.
Yes.
Which, I mean, he clearly thought that was going to happen. So Mando thinks that everything's good, but they've decided they want to take the whole ship.
Yeah.
He's not very happy about this, but he doesn't really have really any option.
Yeah.
Did that fit with her character from the shows?
Yeah, it did.
So at this point, for me, now you might have a better idea. Like, I can't tell if she's a good guy or a bad guy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I was
so in
leaning
Star Wars
to
Rebels,
see. So I was leaning to bad guy, or closer to bad guy than good guy, but also desperation can sometimes make you do something you might not normally, and it seemed like they might be in that kind of situation too. So I'm not sure.
So she wants the Darksaber back because the Darksaber brings that leadership of all the Mandalorians under her command, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and she's willing to go to any means to do that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I think she's a good guy, but I think maybe she gets a little carried away sometimes.
Right. Well, she's super focused on that, which brings us like the captain of the ship realizes that they're compromised. Talks to the dude with the Darksaber, takes out his 2 pilots, and he's going to crash the ship.
Yep.
Well, so this is the next sad part for stormtroopers in my mind. So they're trying to get to the cockpit where the pilot is because they want the ship and they want the weaponry. They need to stop him from crashing it. Now, we kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but she also wants to interrogate this guy. We'll call it that. Because she wants information to try to get the Darksaber. So this is the one moment that I've ever seen where they have 10 stormtroopers that are guarding it. Yeah. And Mando eventually is like, enough of this, and he rushes them.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know, the most elite stormtroopers in the history of the universe, the ones that can actually hit a target.
Yes.
The one time it happens to have the best armor in the galaxy that it doesn't really do anything to, and then all of them are blown up.
Yep. I thought that was
what bad luck for the Empire.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So, but yeah, so you gotta give Mando credit though, even though it's not what he wanted to be doing. Once it was like, well, this is what we got to do, he's gonna make sure it happens. But yeah, I just felt bad. I was like, that's like the greatest group of stormtroopers ever. Almost every one of them probably hit him 3 to 4 times.
Yeah,
and it did no good. It meant nothing.
So I look forward. I mean, go ahead and finish the because we're almost done with it.
Yeah, but yeah, so they basically get into the cockpit finally. They save the ship. The guy does some kind of tooth thing where it kills him. So she doesn't get the lead that she wanted to the Darksaber. But we know that Darksaber is definitely in play, and I'm sure it's going to come up throughout either this season, at least, possibly further on down the line.
Yeah.
And Mando has technically made a new group of friends. He's not sure if they're good or bad.
And she sends them off to go see Ahsoka.
Yes, which I was real surprised. I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool.
And talking about introducing a character that's OP, I don't see anything really bothering her. So I don't see her being in Mando's story very long because, like I said, she's very OP. So I don't think...
Well, is she like the Optimus Prime Goku, or I'm sorry, Omega Supreme Goku character?
Well, in this...
Or would be in this universe, particular...
In this universe, yes, because Darth Vader trained her. So
okay.
Yeah. Anakin trained
I was going to say, wait, I don't think Darth Vader existed yet, but...
Anakin trained her.
I'm moderately familiar with her as a character, but is she super powerful? Like when it comes
She's
to like
so she's a neutral. I don't know what they're called.
Gray,
She's
I
a neutral
think.
Jedi. What are they called?
I think they're gray.
Okay. Well, anyway, so she's part of the. She's not a Jedi, but she's not a Sith
Right.
Lord either. She's just I don't know. She's pretty powerful. Yes.
Yeah, it's considered gray, Gray.
Okay. Because Star Wars Rebels, she actually went toe to toe with Darth Vader. So yeah.
Yeah, so she's high end of the scale. Like she's closer
Yes.
to the Mace Windu,
Yes. So,
Skywalker side.
So, unless they're going to bring in Luke Skywalker, I think she's probably the most powerful character in the Mandalorian. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, unless we see like someone else. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna bring. I don't know. They could have what's his face show up, emo dude, making a cameo somewhere along the way.
Who?
The emo Darth Vader.
No, I guess.
Han Solo. I don't know where his age would be at this point in time.
Let's just keep that franchise out of this.
Let's see. But yeah, so this episode was pretty good, I thought, overall. Yeah, it ends with, he's on his way. Next week we'll find out what's going on. But what did this one... I don't have man, you got me messed up now. IDBM. I don't have that pulled up. What did this one get?
A 9.1.
What did episode 1 of this season get?
9.1.
Episode 1 was way better than this one.
I agree. Yeah, so I disagree. I think episode 1, the first episode of this season should have got like a 9.5 or something.
Unless they've somehow gotten to see the entire season.
Yeah.
Which could be the case. Like, they might have information that we don't. But yeah, because the first episode was really strong. This one was good too, but I really like that first one. I'm still pleased that season 2 doesn't seem to have ruined things. Although I assume they're clearly working towards him taking the helmet off some.
Yes. Because he's an actor. He wants to show his pretty little face. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it's better for merchandising, but the story it seems like they're telling, though, where there's a fanaticism to his clan or his side of it. It is it is real weird to think that you can never take your helmet off.
Sure.
So I get it, kind of, but we'll see how they could do it really well, or they could, he could be dancing by the end of this season and be like, oh, what did they do? So
Vince McMahon takes over because Sasha's part of it, and I want some dancing in here. We need some dancing.
All right. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to next week. I don't know. That'll be like a consistent for a little while here until the season's over. And then hopefully they don't ruin it. But I don't know. It's weird. Star Wars makes me cautiously optimistic. I'm always waiting to get kicked down the stairs again.
Yes, I'm also the same way. Yes.
All right. You want to talk? I want to complain about Hearthstone real quick.
That's fine, and then I have to part ways. So,
Okay. Yeah. Here we go.
Keep doing it.
Get over here! Time's up. Let's do this.
All right. My complaint is Hearthstone has added a battle pass thing.
Yeah.
So they went from, we don't want to add stuff because another button is going to confuse you guys, to, hey, we're going to add a bunch of stuff that is totally not transparent at all.
Yes.
And charge money for it. There is a website outof.cards where they did some data mining. I'm sure other places have done data mining on this as well. This is just the one that I came across because I was listening to, I think it was the Angry Chicken, and they were talking about it, and they're like, we don't know what's going on with this, and it sucks. And, they're pretty neutral most of the time on stuff, so when you got one of the hosts there being like, this is not good, and then I started, we were both kind of looking into it the other day, and basically had to, try to teach each other a foreign language, it felt like, to understand this thing. Now, we're coming pretty slightly more than casual, I would say. I mean, we've been playing Hearthstone forever. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. They might have gave me a big walkthrough and I just clicked through it, but there's a lot to remember. But basically, to do this reward, the end result is you got to get, each step of the way, like all battle passes, you get a reward here and there. You can pay money and you get like an XP boost and you get some extra premium stuff. Which is all cosmetic, but the thing is with Hearthstone, like the cosmetic stuff is the only thing you have to change it up at all. Otherwise, so like Fortnite, the game, I don't know, it just feels different with Hearthstone to me because there's so little, there's no movement to anything. So it's not like, oh, a different skin for my character in Fortnite versus, oh, I can get like a different hero card. It just feels like a bigger deal in Hearthstone to me. Technically not an issue, but it just feels weird to me to be like, oh man, I'd really like to have anything different to look at so that I'm not exactly the same while I'm staring at the other person for a minute at a time while they take their turn.
Agreed. Yep.
So technically no different, just feels different to me. But yeah, it doesn't really give you a good idea of how much you're going to have to do to get the stuff. I guess they came out and said, I wasn't following this story very closely, obviously, that the end result is you should get about the same amount of gold and stuff throughout the course of a season as you would previously. I guess a lot of data mining and people are saying that they don't think that's going to be the case. So I saw earlier someone made a bingo card for when eventually they have to speak on it. And it was basically like all the Blizzard, Activision were like, oh, well, we miscalculated, or we appreciate everyone's patience. Like all the typical corporate stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But if the final tally for this thing is you basically have like a 4-month time span, give or take, to get this. So what they figured out is the end with it's going to take over 12 weeks. So that's about 3 months or the full duration of the pass. So if you play an hour of Hearthstone a day and make sure that you complete your quests and achievements each week, which they added weekly quests, which is fine. I mean, they're manageable, but you'll definitely hit level 50 where you get like this really cool alternate hero to pick from. The thing is, an hour a day, some of those quests I don't think you can complete in an hour.
No.
I had quests that just said play 30 cards and spend 500 mana. I also had a quest that was do some Tavern Brawl stuff. So I was playing Tavern Brawl. I went back and checked my questing stuff. I didn't see anywhere that it said that it didn't count in Tavern Brawl, which stuff usually does, but it didn't count cards played and it didn't count mana spent. So I had to do that in ranked play before it would show up. I played a game of Arena, and I don't think it counted that either, which I thought was really strange. I understand it not counting Battlegrounds because you're not really playing cards, and the way mana works in that is really kind of weird. So yeah. I understand that, and they have specific Battleground quests, but I don't know. It seems like an hour a day, because the hour a day is part of like the experience you would get to work through this thing. I don't think I like this at the moment.
Yeah, I don't really like it that much.
Like, it's not super transparent. I don't think I'm going to stop playing Hearthstone over it. I still enjoy Hearthstone. It's just like, this is a really dumb, well, dumb's not the right word. It doesn't seem like it's tuned properly, but it will make me mad if it's like completely unrealistic for me to achieve it, where I usually play like a couple games a day. Like, I'll, if nothing else, I'll get home from work and I'll play around the Battlegrounds while I'm eating, and then I go do other stuff. But
yeah,
a lot of the quests I'm not going to be able to complete by that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but it definitely won't make me stop playing, but I'll be way less likely to spend money at a certain point.
Yes, I agree with that.
So we'll see. I just wanted to kind of complain about this.
Oh no, I mean it's better than what they had, but I think they still need to work
Well, I just want something a little more streamlined, or not streamlined, but just I want to have an idea that it's doable. Because if you only play, say, Arena, or you only play Battleground at this point, you're not going to get through it. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those, oh, we want to encourage you to try all the different game modes. Yeah. Really? Because you guys haven't done anything for Arena forever. It's pretty much a dead mode. So, where people are playing like all the other... Well, it feels like a dead mode. I don't see a lot of people talking about Arena anymore. I'm sure there's like dedicated people to it, but... Yeah. So, wanted to complain about that. I also want to complain about the stupid in World of Warcraft, the drop rate for the 34 slot bag.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be... Wowhead has it at 22%. I'm going to say that I'm unlucky, clearly.
Keep playing.
Yeah. I just need to learn to be lucky.
Yep.
That's a good solution. So, all right. Well, do you have anything to add on that? I mean, is this something for Hearthstone that would make you quit playing? Or would it just slowly... It could cause a slippery slope where maybe you're not as interested in something. I mean, they're trying to get you to pay $20 for the boost to the pass.
Which won't work. They start getting too greedy with it, and then I'll stop playing it.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at is like... And I know they have to make... Yeah, I know they have to make money. I mean, I've played mobile games that are... I'll use Brawl Stars again. That's one of the Supercell games. I think they're pretty good on the trying to get money out of you. I know the other Supercell games, like, it gets real bad about trying to get money. Now, it could be because I've been playing Brawl Stars since it launched in the U.S. That's why I don't feel so... Like, if I was brand new to that game, I don't know how far I would get. I'm not going to play, like, a brand new account to find out. But I would probably be pretty frustrated with it. So, I don't know. Hearthstone, like... It worries me that they're going to get, like... They're going to stray too far. And it's going to be like, man, I really like this game for years. And now I have no interest in it.
They did it to World of Warcraft, so why wouldn't they do it to Hearthstone?
Well, right. Yeah, because Warcraft is like on again, off again for me. Now, I was never like, yeah, Warcraft is the game. I've always played it as I'm settling for an MMO. But it always entertained me when I do sit around and play some. And then I'll get frustrated, and then I'll stop for a while, and then I'll come back. So, all right. Well, if you want to run...
So I don't know if you're going to keep doing it, but if not...
I'll go briefly over some of the Dynamite stuff. Real quick, for Full Gear, did you like the Bucks in the FTR match?
Yeah, other than it shouldn't have been done. It should have waited.
Held off.
Yep.
Right. I would agree with that. Well, I will let you run away, but I'll go on to that and briefly give my opinion, because me just talking kind of out loud is not going to be nearly as interesting as a discussion. But
sure. So you guys have a great week.
All right. Later, man.
Yep.
All right. So Saul has some stuff going on that he's got to take care of, or just doesn't want to talk about AEW. Either way. We had Full Gear back on the 7th, so I'm just using the AEW official page for it. Now, I ended up buying this. Did not watch it with Saul this time. He only checked out the FTR match, which, as he said, he thought should have been held off. I kind of agree. It seems like that would have been a lot better with a crowd, but, it is what it is for that part. The opening match was the Adam Page Kenny Omega match, which I watched some clips from their New Japan match that they had a few years ago. It's pretty good. This match I thought was good. Pretty much it felt like it was set up that Kenny was going to beat Hangman in this, like 100%. Like that is where the story goes. Which completely happened. I did like the finish to it, where he was trying to fight through the One-Wing Angel, and he failed and then got pinned. But basically, Kenny Omega, he's getting referred to as the cleaner by JR in this. There's a real weird thing where they ask about the name The Cleaner, and then they talk about video games at the beginning. Didn't really understand what was supposed to happen there, or if just people missed what was happening due to Kenny Omega's ridiculous entrance here. So, personally, I really like this match. It wasn't super exciting because it was pretty easy to know what was going to happen, but I assume, on the journey to Hangman eventually will be the one to dethrone Kenny, is what I would think. We got that followed up with Orange Cassidy against Johnny Hungy, John Silver. This match was really good. It makes me wonder, because Silver does like the big spin. He gets him to land flat. Maybe it's because he goes from a torture rack as opposed to a fireman carry, where Wardlow does like the F10. I don't know. It just drives me crazy watching Wardlow do that. He should just do the F5. But either way, the end result for this one, Orange Cassidy wins. Not a big surprise. We got the TNT title match, Cody Rhodes against Darby Allin. Darby does a entrance on a car with a skateboard and all that stuff. Cody it's weird, they had the big chandelier thing off to the side, so I thought that was specifically for Cody's entrance, but that was not the case. He just came from the normal entryway. They tried to put over the hammerlock as a devastating move throughout this match over and over. A lot of back and forth. End result is Cody. So at one point, Cody does a avalanche, or from the top, crossroads. Pretty crazy spot. Darby's actually underneath the rope. He doesn't even put his foot on the rope. He's just under the rope. So they stop the count. Couple things happen. Darby ends up getting the win. He's your new TNT champion. Cody presented Undertaker holding the urn style to Darby almost. Not a lot of time for Darby to celebrate. Team Taz comes out and jump them. They lay Darby on the car, which kind of gives like a good shot though, because it's like face of TNT and half painted car and all that stuff. Will Hobbs eventually shows up, and I mean, I don't know. The end part seemed a little bit off, like timing wise. So we find out there's going to be a bunkhouse match on Dynamite. Sure. Honestly, like, this match ends up being really good, but I was like, well, I guess they're going to do something. Women's title match, Nyla Rose and Sheeta. Basically, they hit each other a ton. Now, I thought when this match was starting, I was trying to make food, and I was like, oh, this is going to be the food break match. And I kept thinking that throughout the show, and I gave this match a couple minutes, and then I was actually pretty into it, so I did not make food during this match either, or during this match, or really any of them. This was, for me, this might have been like one of the lower matches on the card, but it was still really good. Like, this could have easily been a main event to Dynamite, and I would have been fine with that. We jump ahead to the FTR Young Bucks match. So I like that they've constantly brought up how stupid it was for the Young Bucks to say they would never challenge for the title again. It comes up on BTE and all that stuff. Just going through the match, like, if you haven't seen it, try to find it. It'll probably be up on YouTube occasionally here and there where you can watch it if you're quick. Bucks win it at the end. Shoeless super kick to Cash. So good for the Bucks. You know, they won. Again, if this would have had a crowd, it would have been so much better. Or a large crowd. They had like a small one, but just I understand what Saul was saying about this. The next thing is Kenny Omega comes out. So he's number one contender. He comes out to celebrate with them. The thing that was, they don't mention it on the official thing, but Hangman was coming to the ring, but he saw Kenny out there, I guess. I don't know if that is what I would assume. So he was going to come out to celebrate, or try to, and then he just left. Commentary's kind of touched on it, but not really. So we get the Elite Deletion match, Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. So we've seen a few of these deletion matches now at this point in time between different companies. They're not going to really do anything new. The first half of this was, I'm trying to think of the way to put it, because I enjoyed it, but it was ridiculous. Proud and Powerful show up. Private Party show up. There's just chaos. Gangrel shows up. The Hurricane shows up. There's just craziness. There's super giant Roman candles where it looks like G.I. Joe for your morning cartoon. Like, I don't know. It overly ridiculous, but it was entertaining. So I guess they got what they wanted to. I would love to know what Saul thought of this particular one, because I could see him either loving it or hating it 100%. So they eventually go inside the Dome of Deletion. This is when things kind of become serious again. And the result here, Matt Hardy just ends up obliterating Sammy. Like, it's not like, he kind of won the feud. He absolutely won this feud. To the point where after it's over, he does like the one-man concerto. Private Party comes in. They actually take the lifeless Sammy, throw him in a garbage can, roll him outside into the back of a pickup truck, and Senor Benjamin takes him away. And then there's like dancing and fireworks and stuff like that. Man, Sammy is a really good wrestler, so it'll be okay. Like, it's not gonna ruin him or anything, but I kind of thought he'd either win this or maybe he'd lose and he'd do something at the end, but I don't know. He even tweeted later in the night, he was like, "Help, where am I? My phone's about to die," like playing it up, like, which made me laugh. But man, he got obliterated. I don't know that was the right call there, but whatever. Jericho MJF next match. I thought this match was really, really flat. I think this is the same as like Nyla and Sheeta, though, that you put this on any other card and this match would have been fine, but just, I don't know if the crowd was tired, maybe because they had, watched something that wasn't live with the Elite Deletion. Maybe that took some people out of it or something. Like, there just wasn't as much noise. I don't know. I mean, this whole match was about the ending, where we see like some shenanigans, I guess. MJF is going to be part of the Inner Circle. Basically, that's it. I mean, there's not much. Like, the whole point was MJF to win. So he did it sneakily. It wasn't like a decisive thing where he made Jericho tap or he was standing over him with 1 foot or anything. Final matchup, the I Quit match. This match was basically just Eddie and Moxley just beating each other. There was a part where they do like the thumbtacks, and then Kingston had rubbing alcohol and poured all over the puncture wounds from the thumbtacks, which I thought was clever. I thought he was gonna like pull out like a Zippo or something, though, like, because alcohol will burn up pretty quick. Maybe threaten to light him on fire to try to get him to say "I quit." That did not happen. Basically, he puts him in the Moxley, that is, puts him in the bulldog choke with like barbed wire wrapped around his arm. Yeah, like, this was a good match. I was entertained by it. It was better than I thought it was. I didn't really think Eddie Kingston was gonna win. Like, I tried to convince myself that maybe he would do something dastardly somehow to win, but there was nothing that really made sense short of trying to light him on fire. Is the only thing throughout that whole match that would have seemed like it would have worked to me. Kenny Omega comes down, kind of points at him, so he's going to be the next challenger. Let's see, we'll move forward here. Trying to find something that I have like some strong opinions about. Matt Sydal and Brian Cage. I thought Cage made Sydal look really good. That's all. So this is... Here's something I have an opinion about. Cody Rhodes come out to reveal his upcoming plans. Not going to be going for a rematch with Darby. He started to talk about MJF, maybe trying to get some vengeance from that whole thing. A woman enters the ring. This is such... how to put this? This segment was awful. Like, watching it, I just wanted it to end. I didn't understand what was going on. Apparently, Jade Cargill, I'm not sure on the exact pronunciation of the last name. She's, from what I could gather, she's like, in ring, she's very good. Her promo, like, there was weird spacing to it, and I don't know if we were supposed to know who she is. Something was really off with this. Like, not that I think that she's awful or Cody's awful or anything like, but the way this segment came together was just bad. Super bad. Like, Kip Sabian should probably be mad for gimmick infringement. This was so awful. I guess Cody mentioned something about being a giant killer a while back. I guess she's going to be a valet or something briefly for Shaquille O'Neal. I really don't know. Now, what was surprising is Brandy comes out, and the segment actually got better. She is all over the place and, like, super fired up. And then, I don't even know if this was merciful or if this made it worse. Cage and Starks, they jump Cody. Darby comes down from the rafters or wherever Darby sits and does his thing. And then at some point, Will Hobbs shows up, but it's like 3-on-2. Like, this whole segment was just not that good. It was bad. I would love to see the minute by minute to see the amount of people changing channels or not. Maybe I'm wrong. We got Moxley's promo against Kenny Omega. It's a Moxley promo. They're usually pretty good. December 2nd Dynamite match. I have to assume that Kenny Omega's winning this thing. And that'll further whatever else is going on. This bunkhouse match that I really had zero interest in was really good. A lot of blood, which for this match is totally fine, I think. It's amazing that Dustin Rhodes is 115 years old and moves as well as he does. QT Marshall has the hair still of a 115-year-old, so we got that going, I guess. But yeah, Natural Nightmares, they end up winning this thing. Diamond Cutter. So I guess that's QT's vengeance on this. I don't know. Butcher and Blade looked real good throughout. Butcher, the bunkhouse butcher or whatever they were calling him, wrestled, I think, the entire match with an apron on, which was impressive. I used to have to wear those for work, and anything being tied around my neck made me go crazy. I can't imagine wrestling like that. Now we get another, I'm going to say, I don't know. I didn't care for this segment. MJF being inducted into the inner circle. It was funny when they tried to release the balloons, and due to the storm that was rolling in, that did not go as they were. MJF steals Drake lyrics. Who knows? Maybe Drake is showing up in AEW. Whatever. They're going to Vegas next week. Good for them. Sammy, it comes up later. Sammy had an email that they were going to do it on the beach, so he wasn't there. I feel like that's going to further what me and Saul have talked about some, where it's going to end up somehow Jericho and Sammy end up being faces out of this whole thing, but we'll see. Young Bucks have a matchup coming against Top Flight. I know nothing about those guys. We finally get Shawn Spears and Scorpio Sky. Sky gets beat by Spears. I want more for Scorpio Sky. and I'd want Sean Spears to do something. I guess this could be the start of something for Spears, because I thought for sure Sky was going to win this thing. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. Kenny Omega interview, whatever. We got Tay with Anna Jay over Red Velvet. I assume she's eventually going to be either her and Anna Jay are going to feud, or she's going to join Dark Order. I don't know what's going to go on there, but it's kind of interesting. Inner Circle, Sammy Guevara stuff that I just mentioned, Eddie Kingston, whatever. So we're getting the Lucha Brothers fighting again. This match is crazy. I can't even explain. There's a funny moment where Eddie Kingston kind of like kicks Phoenix out of the ring. And so I don't know if he's trying to split them up is what they're getting to. Like, they kind of painted it that way on commentary. We get Pat coming back. So he is going to be having a match next week. But I guess he's kind of a good guy because Eddie Kingston is a bad guy. And they kind of did like the pull apart brawl. So, yeah. My opinions are the pay-per-view was really good. The Dynamite was whatever. Like, I wanted to see more stuff. If you watch BTE, there is Hangman goes to talk to the Bucks, but he again leaves and eventually has like an interaction with the Dark Order. So maybe we're actually going to get Hangman hanging out with the Dark Order. I mean, I've seen people talk about it online, and it seems pretty obvious. You could have Hangman join the Dark Order. Maybe they kind of turn good guy out of it or whatever. But people want to cheer the Dark Order right now is what it feels like to me. People really like Hangman. You could give them a reason to cheer both, and then have the Dark Order turn on Hangman, which is going to make them super bad guys if that's where you want to keep them. And then he has a built-in feud with the entirety of the Dark Order that he can run through them while Kenny is busy being the world champion. And then I would assume that pays off eventually with Hangman against Brody Lee. But there's Hangman and John Silver, Hangman Evil Uno, Hangman Stu Grayson, even Colt thrown in there. Like, there's enough to keep him busy for months on end with a Dark Order thing. The other thing I would love to see is if he joins Dark Order, maybe he gets some different tights than whatever monstrosity he's wearing right now. Black, brown, I'm sure there's navy blue in there. All the colors you're not supposed to put together. I don't know. Not a fan of his particular long tights. So maybe getting some black and purple would do good. I'm sure there's like black and purple cowboy shirts that he could wear. So, all right. So yeah, I'm going to end with that. There's like stuff going on in WWE. Zelina Vega got released. Who knows? Well, I for one don't know what's going on. Whether it had something to do. Some people are speculating that it's because she talked about supporting unionization. Some people are saying it's because she refuses to give up like Twitch and the stuff that, like the side stuff she's doing. I don't know. I just don't understand, because I think she was using like her real name and not her WWE name. So I thought that was part of it. I guess more, I'm sure somewhere down the line she's going to do an interview and give a little more detail to what's going on, or maybe she was totally blindsided by it. But I guess that opens up the question for how long Aleister Black has on his contract. I don't dislike Aleister Black, but I'm not a huge fan. I didn't get to catch a ton of his NXT run. I mean, he's obviously talented. He has like a very interesting look and a good style. So, I mean, he could go anywhere else and do fine. But I guess we'll see what happens with that. Or he could be totally happy and it doesn't matter to him. I don't know. I don't even know anything about his contract length or any of that stuff. So we'll see how that plays out in the next few weeks. Let's see. Roman is still interesting. And I'm waiting for The Miz to end up being world champion again. So, all right, we'll end it there because I know this is not nearly as interesting as if I'm having a conversation with Saul about this. But figured we'd hit a little bit of this since we didn't do much last week. So, all right, everybody, have a good one.